What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're back once again for another career mode episode, number 11 in fact, for the Dutch Grand Prix. The dynamic duo of Spa and Monza have finally parted ways. They're no longer a duo. We've now got this track sandwiched in between, so my whole balance is thrown off.
We need your input on how to address an issue concerning our driver.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else feels the same way, but after all these years, you do get used to a certain amount of tracks following each other, and I always know to chuck on a whole bunch of engine and drag reduction upgrades for those two races, but now this race kind of throws a spanner in the works and makes me have to do upgrades a bit more balanced-like. Anyway, yep.
The department wants me to pass on their thanks for helping out.
Yeah. We had the choice between boosting his awareness or boosting his racecraft, and I chose racecraft, so hopefully Marcus will be able to race a bit closer in this race. He's going to have 49... Oh, I chose awareness. I got the... I got the things mixed up. Oh, well, less racecraft for Marcus, more awareness. You'd think that racecraft and awareness would go hand in hand, but I digress. While we're on the topic of Marcus Armstrong, I'm thinking about his contract and his place within the team. So I've actually casted a vote about whether we should fire Marcus Armstrong or not after this episode. So head over to my Twitter and that will help me decide what to do with Marcus's career at Marduk Motorsport. Anyway, we fast forward time a little bit for upgrades. Unfortunately, a rear downforce upgrade that was meant to go on for this race has failed, and it'll take a couple of races to get back on the car. So, yeah, that's rather annoying. We could have done with the extra downforce heading into what is one of the most high downforce circuits, up there with Hungary and Monaco. But yeah, there is a slight uptake in performance. We did have a tyre wear upgrade go on, and we also had one or two supplier upgrades from Renault help boost our performance. We've actually now, I'm not sure if you've seen it earlier on in the video, but we now have the best engine in the whole field in F1, which is pretty mental. We've got pretty much the worst car, but the best engine. You can tell the upgrades have been a bit unbalanced so far this season. But that's something I'm looking to rectify. We are going to go full steam ahead with facility upgrades for the aero and chassis once we sort out a contract at the end of, in the next episode, because that's the mid-season break, apparently. And, yeah, we've got to choose who's going to be driving alongside us for the rest of the season. Anyway, let's focus on the here and now. We're going to take some engine penalties because we're probably going to be rubbish at this race circuit anyway. Time for quali. So here we go then for qualifying for the Dutch Grand Prix. I'll be honest, I'm actually dreading this race. I am really not confident in our abilities heading into this race. Simply because of where the car is at aero-wise. I think aero is our weakest component so far on this car. And aero is 100% what makes you go fast around here. So what I've done is I'm pretty much essentially sacrificing this race weekend to better myself in future Grand Prix. So I'm taking all the engine penalties, all brand new components. I think this is going to be our 5th engine power unit for the season. So we will be starting from the back of the grid. We are running 11-10 wings. So we're trying to compensate for the lack of downforce. But I think even still with those numbers, we are still going to be behind the 8 ball with the AI. They're all going to be running as much downforce as they can as well. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle. Anyway, we're 2/10 shy of our teammate Marcus with a brand new engine. So that's a bit of a yikes. We all know now that the AI are really strong as well. through high-speed corners. So it's kind of, yeah, just doubling down on the lack of performance we're going to have this weekend. It's going to be so tough to match it with the AI, but we're going to do the best job we can. I felt like, yeah, I was just getting a lot of understeer through the medium and high-speed corners. This middle sector here particularly, I think it's always been the case in the F1 games ever since this track has been around. I always struggled to just rotate the car. I think I maybe even load up the front tires too much. There's maybe a bit of tire temperature issues there, but still we are just lacking a lot of downforce, which is holding us back, I'd say. But anyway, this is our final lap in Q1. You can see we're up by a tenth and a half as we round the last couple of corners. Sector 3, though, is actually really good for us somehow. The AI aren't good through the last 3 corners, and as such, we're able to make the most of that. We're really good on the straights, which gains us back a bit of time, but overall, we're still knocked out in qualifying 1. I don't think we were expecting any different, to be honest. 4 tenths shy of Nicholas Latifi, 30 place grid penalty. Marcus, 8 tenths faster than us. That is a horrific qualifying session for us.
Good day today. Let's have your take on it. How's your grid penalty going to affect your strategy going into the race?
It's not really going to affect it because we're not going to get points.
Why do you think you weren't as quick as your teammate today?
I'm not sure. Why don't you ask Codemasters?
How will not making Q3 affect your strategy tomorrow?
I'm not answering that.
You left some bodywork out there.
No, I
on the
didn't!
track.
Bloody hell. Is this a roast Tiametmarduk interview? Ugh. Disgusting stuff. Anyway, we are falling further behind in the rivalry with Lance Stroll. We are definitely going to lose that. But, yeah, P last. Fresh engine components. We're going to go full send in the race. Wish me luck.
So, unfortunately, we've picked up some grid penalties, and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
For years, the passionate Dutch fans have been easy to find trackside at races across Europe and throughout the world. Now, at long last, they have a Grand Prix to call their own. It's a warm welcome once again to all of our viewers in the Netherlands and around the globe as we get underway for the Dutch Grand Prix. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Let's have a chat about McLaren. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Perez, Lewis Hamilton and Sainz, Ricciardo, Vettel, Norris and Lance Stroll, Gasly, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon and Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Marcus Armstrong and Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, Latifi, Russell, they've taken a grid penalty, and Benjamin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
All right, we are going to put qualifying well behind us now, and we're going to put our best foot forward in the Grand Prix today. We're going to see what we can do strategy-wise. We are always better in the race. There's always more opportunities. Our racecraft always gets us higher up the grid. And with the tire wear upgrades that we've applied, that might make things a little bit easier for us. And you can see straight away, we can switch from hards to softs to a medium soft strategy. So, hopefully, we are the only ones doing this. And it looks like we are. Starting on the medium compound tires. 5 red lights and away we go for the Dutch Grand Prix. Everyone at the back is on hard compound tires. So this is really going to open up the race for us here as we head down into turn 1. Everyone is going to have no pace. They're going to have no tire temps. And we're going to have, I don't know, maybe a second or 2 is a bit of a stretch. But maybe a second's worth of pace over these guys in the opening few laps. So let's get nice and punchy in the opening phase of this Grand Prix and get some track position while we can. Marcus had a great start to this weekend, qualifying P17 and looking fairly solid so far. He's a man who is driving for his career. So I'd say save your votes for what we should do with Marcus until the end of the Grand Prix, and then we'll decide his fate in the next one. But anyway, halfway through the first lap, you can see we're putting pressure on Mick Schumacher here in the Haas. We've got a great engine, great straight line speed, gets us close enough to dive bomb into Sector 3, and we're now up to P18 in only 2/3 of a lap. So it's been a pretty good start. We're now putting pressure on Marcus. Hopefully he won't make life too difficult for us. And look at the lack of speed out of the last corner. It's actually crazy how almost unbalanced, or how different the way I go about achieving my pace, how the AI achieve their pace. They are so strong through the middle sector, and then Sector 3, it's all us. So it really is a head scratcher. But anyway, Giovinazzi is next in the Alfa Romeo, and again we're going to use overtake to try and draw alongside, heading into this fast right-hander. It's side by side. Does Giovinazzi leave the space? Yes, he does. He's got the grip, though, to go round the outside, and we're still hanging it in there, having the shorter run to the apexes of the corners. And there we go. We have P16. So 6 spots gained in what is only 2 laps of this Grand Prix. The next 6, if we can even do that, will be much, much harder. Kimi Räikkönen is next. And we've been in quite the rivalry with Alfa Romeo, I'd say. When we're having a good race, we sometimes can challenge them. But if we're having a great race, then we're ahead of them. We got our first 2 points finishes of the season in the very first 2 races, and we've had nothing since. But now we're showing some glimpses of hope as we go around the outside of Räikkönen. Defends the inside quite hard. We take the more flowing run around the outside. We use the grip of the medium compound tyre. It's a good effect. And we're now up to P15 in this Dutch Grand Prix. A late switch to the outside. Räikkönen defending hard. I wouldn't have it any other way. And that was quite the satisfying overtake, I must say. Anyway, a bit of a hairy moment out of the last corner. If you get the weight transfer just that little bit wrong, or you leave too much too late to do turning-wise, then, yeah, the balance of the car can shift a little bit more than you like towards the rear. Anyway, that is Yuki Tsunoda up next. He's 1.6 seconds up the road. Who knows? We might be able to keep going in this race. We need to, if we are to have any chance of scoring points. Now, I didn't think that this was going to be possible today, but the strategy of the AI and our tyre wear upgrades, enabling us to run the 2 faster compounds, has really opened up this race for us. This could be maybe our best race since the first 2 races of the season. So we're going to push quite hard and do the best job we can. There is set to be some rain towards the end of the Grand Prix, so that could well and truly open things up if there's a late safety car. Anyway, Räikkönen is fighting back. Looks like his tyres have warmed up. Maybe the hards are starting to already be faster than the mediums. I mean, we are 16 laps into this Grand Prix already. It's kind of flown by. We did all of our overtaking at the start, and I guess ever since then we've just been fighting to hold on. And ever since we got like within 1.6, 1.5 seconds of Tsunoda, that was about as good as it got for us, because now we've lost touch with him and we're now getting distracted by Räikkönen. That's Marcus Armstrong, by the way, keeping both the Alphas, no, not the Alphas, keeping both the Haas drivers and both the Williams drivers at bay for P18 or something like that. Anyway, we got both the Red Bulls leading 1 and 2. This is a must-win race for... Must-win race for Red Bull. My commentary today is all over the place. I think I need a coffee to wake myself up. But, yeah, in goes my teammate on the previous lap. He's actually gone to mediums, which is interesting. I thought starting on the hards, the whole point is you're going to be able to finish on the softs and go for fastest lap, but that is not the case. Yellow flag entering Sector 3. It's not one of the Red Bulls, thankfully. It is Lewis Hamilton, our championship leader, out of the Grand Prix with an engine failure. So Mercedes are human after all. They don't have a bulletproof car, it seems, in this 2021 season. Anyway, Raikkonen is making the most of me being distracted by the yellow flag. We do get him back, but I tell you what, we actually overtook him under yellow flag, so that's a bit of karma and perhaps payback for what happened in Belgium, where he and Russell overtook me very blatantly under yellow flags, and nothing happened to them. So what goes around comes around, and now we are diving it in for the soft compound tires. My box lap was actually lap 20, and I stretched it an extra 5 laps. I was trying to make sure I could stay ahead of Raikkonen. I didn't want to come in too early and have Raikkonen overcut me or have much better tires than me towards the end of the Grand Prix. So staying out the extra few laps hasn't cost me anything. If anything, it's meant that I can go for an even faster lap and keep Raikkonen behind me. Anyway, you can see we're squabbling away with Latifi and Schumacher. But believe it or not, these guys actually need to stop again. So we are a pit stop ahead of, you know, genuine rivals on circuit. So this, I hope, illustrates how good of a race I'm actually having today. How good the medium compound tires were relative to the hards. They really didn't die off against the hards. Raikkonen was slightly faster than me towards the end of that stint, but that's mainly down to his natural car pace. I was still setting personal bests for the most part towards the end of my medium compound tire stint. So shout out to Marduk Motorsport for suggesting the medium soft strategy, because it's worked out a treat here today. We've gained so many positions, and it's looking like we're probably going to keep all of them, unless Raikkonen has something to say towards the end of this race. But anyway, we're getting for a fastest lap here. You can see 2 personal bests to the first and middle sector, rounding the last 2 corners now, and we're giving absolutely everything to this lap to see if we can go for purple, or at least get a personal best that's going to help us in the rivalry. It is a purple last sector, but not a fastest lap of the Grand Prix, unfortunately. Anyway, we have a yellow flag, and that's for Giovinazzi. He's had a massive spin in the 3rd sector, and now he's reversing for some reason. I have no words for that. That was very, very silly. I don't know how he was able to engage reverse gear so quickly, but that's allowed my teammate to get through. That's now Lance Stroll out of the Grand Prix, who was my rival, by the way. So that's really going to help me in the rivalry. Full complement of points going my way, and an extra position. We're now up to P13. So yeah, this is turning out to be a pretty good race. I know that Hungary was pretty solid for us, but you know, since the start of the season, we haven't, you know, looked this good for points in a while. And we're probably going to look even better in the next 4 laps as rain is starting to hit the circuit. So literally anything could happen. With me on the cusp of the points, I am hoping it absolutely buckets it down, and the AI can have lots of mistakes, and the safety car can come out. Oh, there's a yellow flag right there. So ask and you shall receive. One of the Alpines is out. One of the Alpines should be out, but they've carried on. I'm sorry? They smacked the wall. Why do they have no damage? Why is there no damage? I'm going to have to check the settings. Anyway, Ferrari's in the wall. They again have no damage. What is going on in this Grand Prix? So AI are making mistakes left, right, and center. It's too wet now for dry compound tires. We're diving it in with 2 laps to go. Lightning stop from the boys there at Marduk Motorsport. That should have been 2 drives out of the Grand Prix. And really, we should be in P11 in this race. Well, we might be in P11. We might have been in P11 if we can overtake Raikkonen in the dying couple of laps. That's a Mercedes in the barrier. That is Valtteri Bottas. And again, no damage. There must be something up in the settings, because this is just ridiculous. My teammate's in the wall. Everyone's in the wall. No one can stay out of the barriers. That's Sebastian Vettel, who's now supposed to be out in this race as well. The AI are quite literally in the mud in this Dutch Grand Prix. No one, and I mean no one, can stay on the road. But for whatever reason, my game has set the car damage to off, and I have not done this in the settings, But that right there has honestly cost us probably a points finish. How many drivers have we seen hit the wall over the last few laps? At least 3 or 4. So we probably could have got points. But it's not to be. We unlapped ourselves from Max Verstappen. Unfortunately, we were literally only seconds away from unlapping ourselves from Sergio Perez, who wins the Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 for Red Bull, but no points for us.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
What a Grand Prix. P22 to 13th. Driver of the day. Much better day than I thought.
A difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Red Bull have fought back in the Dutch Grand Prix. This is such a much needed 1-2 for those guys, especially when Mercedes were quite literally in the mud today. Bottas hitting barriers, Hamilton getting a DNF by virtue of reliability issues. And there we go. It is maximum points for the Milton Keynes team. For us today, yeah, quite honestly, I feel like we were genuinely robbed of the game. The game settings, a glitch has robbed us. I always run simulation damage, have done all season, and for whatever reason, it's been switched off. There was absolutely no damage on today, and you saw the amount of drivers who hit barriers. On sim damage, even the lightest touch, and you're losing a wing. At the very least, I think we would have lost an extra 3 drivers or more from those crashes. Plus their pit stops. Do the math. We would have got points, I reckon. There was 4, maybe 5 drivers, I think, ahead of us who had issues, plus Marcus. So, yeah, not ideal. But it just shows that even though on paper this looked like a Grand Prix that was going to be disastrous for us, we were nowhere in qualifying. We turned it up in the race. Great strategy. Made some good overtakes, good consistency, put ourselves in the right position to capitalize on that. And unfortunately, the game has just screwed us over, quite simply. So it's quite hard to take that one, but we'll bounce back stronger in the next one. We know that now points are possible if things go our way. So we've just got to keep up the development and good things will come our way. But anyway, next Grand Prix we have is Monza, and with our power plants we've got in the back, that rocket ship we've got, we might hopefully rocket ourselves towards some points once again in this season of career mode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Let me know what we should do with Marcus and that whole dilemma. He's currently worth $2 million. He's a bit overpriced. Hasn't done much in terms of R&D and results. He's been fast at times. He had the spin today. But I won't hold that against him. A lot of better drivers spun as well. I'll leave it to you guys. The vote is on my Twitter. Link in the description. I think there's a day or two's time to vote on that before I film the next episode. But, yeah. You guys will make the right decision. Until the next video, I'll see you next time.